There are a great many Americans who I think are deeply concerned that Facebook and other tech companies are engaged in a pervasive pattern of bias and political censorship.
That's a reminder of why I like Ted Cruz as much as I do. He grilled Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, who's been appearing before Senate, before Congress, before the House. He's been testifying about Facebook and what they do and how they do it. And Senator Cruz is really grilling him because, without question, Facebook has been discriminatory, as has YouTube, Google, Twitter. Without question, they have discriminated against conservatives. They have the power to squeeze out your content or to push you off. They have the power to push other content. So Senator Cruz presents the evidence. And look, I'm an eyewitness with our own social media work. Senator Cruz presents the evidence, and this is what he says.
There have been numerous instances with Facebook. In May of 2016, Gizmodo reported that Facebook had purposely and routinely suppressed conservative stories from trending news, including stories about CPAC, including stories about Mitt Romney, including stories about the Lois Lerner IRS scandal, including stories about Glenn Beck. In addition to that, Facebook has initially shut down the Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day page, has blocked a post of a Fox News reporter, has blocked over 24 Catholic pages, and most recently blocked Trump supporters Diamond and Silk's page with 1.2 million Facebook followers after determining their content and brand were, quote, unsafe to the community. To a great many Americans, that appears to be a pervasive pattern of political bias. Do you agree with that assessment?
Now, as you're watching this and you see the whole clip and Mark Zuckerberg's responses, his responses are weak. And for the most part, the Senate went really easy on him. This is one of the rare times where he really got challenged. But then when asked forthrightly, again, because Senator Cruz just keeps pressing the same thing, are you a neutral platform? Or are you engaging in political speech? Or are you a neutral platform? Then Mark Zuckerberg makes an admission about the nature of Silicon Valley. Listen to what he says.
First, I understand where that concern is coming from because Facebook and the tech industry are located in Silicon Valley, which is an extremely left-leaning place. And this is actually a concern that I have and that I try to root out at the company, is making sure that we don't have any bias in the work that we do. And I think it is a fair concern that that people would at least wonder about.
Let me ask this question. Are you aware of any ad or page that has been taken down from Planned Parenthood?
Senator, I'm not, but let me just...
How about MoveOn.org?
Sorry?
How about MoveOn.org?
I'm not specifically aware of those.
How about any Democratic candidate for office?
I'm not specifically aware. I mean, I'm not sure.
So you have Mark Zuckerberg saying, yeah, I'm concerned. Now, how much of this is political posturing? God knows. All right. But he says, I'm concerned because Silicon Valley is so far left leaning. And by the way, overall diversity, very small percentage, for example, of African American and Hispanic employees. Just by the way, that's an aside. But here's the deal. Facebook, we have been active, working hard to be a great page on Facebook. Ask Dr. Brown. I'm going and looking at some stats. Right now, we have about 560,000 likes, so well over 500,000 likes on our Facebook page. And we have a very active Facebook page. And we're posting new content constantly. When we had 78,000 likes, so when we were about an eighth of the size we are now, on an average week, we reached we got up to 9 million people that we reached when we had 78,000 likes. Now, with about 560,000 likes, some weeks we only reach 500,000 people. 1/20th of what we reached when we were 1/8 the size. We had weeks where we reached as many as 50 million people. Now it can be 1/100th of that. This is Facebook doing what they do. There's an article in the Washington Post, Margaret Sullivan, members of Congress can't possibly regulate Facebook. They don't understand it. She's exactly right. And she said what happened at the hearing was mostly a gentle, respectful tutorial from Zuckerberg on how the giant social media platform works. He hardly got grilled and hardly had his feet held to the fire. Here's an article. Facebook bans German historian for saying Islam is not part of German history. Facebook bans a German historian for saying that. Look, I saw articles, I couldn't look into them in terms of all the details, but I saw articles that said that Facebook banned some Easter ads because they were, quote, violent because they depicted Jesus hanging on the cross. Yeah, I couldn't investigate this in depth, but I saw articles about that. And then how about this? Over Twitter. All right, this article. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey personally chooses accounts to be banned. This is according to anonymous sources within Twitter. Look, Ted Cruz, Senator Cruz, even raises this to Mark Zuckerberg and says Diamond and Silk, they got what, 1.2 million likes, fans on Facebook. So they're twice as big as we are, but their videos are watched massively more than mine are watched on Facebook. I mean, they get massive distribution. Two African American women who are Trump supporters, they're banned, they're shut down because they're considered unsafe for the community. When Mark Zuckerberg says, look, there are certain things we don't allow. We don't allow, for example, terrorism. So if you're going to show people how to make bombs and kill people, we're not going to allow that. We don't allow nudity. Good for them, he said, but we don't allow hate speech. Trust me, friends, Christian speech is often called hate speech in the world of YouTube and Google and Twitter and Facebook. So what do? We continue to expose the unrighteousness and the double standards. We continue to call for equity and fairness. Otherwise, let them identify as platforms for political speech. Let's take this further. All the more let us raise our voices. All the more let us get our message out. Redouble our efforts to get the message out. And in addition to that, pray that there may be some brainstorming and raising up of platforms that will not censor conservative speech, but will allow people to reach just as many millions. And then lastly, let's remember we have weapons that Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Google cannot shut down, namely prayer and the preaching of the gospel. So let us give ourselves to those things. And let's pray for the leaders of all these organizations that they would encounter God, or at the very least, encounter a sense of equity and fairness and righteousness.